Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to all my new followers. As mentioned, I put a first roll through my Konica IIIA, which was very exciting to do, and I wanted to share the results with you. It was a black and white roll, Ilford FP4. I developed it in DDX and I couldn't be more happy with the results. Usually when you do buy a new camera, there's a little bit of a learning curve. But this one, it just performed great right off the bat. So guys, why don't we jump on the computer and yeah, look at some of the results. We'll go over them. So yes guys, in this very first photo here, we can see my son. With this photo, I mean, you can immediately see the sharpness and the beautiful contrast that this lens renders in black and white on FP4. Different films might give you different mileage. And of course, yes, I did use flash, which is going to increase contrast a little bit. Again, the only adjustments that I do is I'll scan them in TIFF, then I'll export them into Photoshop. I'll do an auto contrast and a sharpening. That is it. It looks great right off the bat. Indeed, yes, I did use flash, but that doesn't really matter. You can see the incredible sharpness that this lens has is just beautiful. I couldn't be more happy with this camera. I bought this camera from Jeff Guthrie from Japan Vintage Camera, and I will definitely link him in the description below. Yeah, wonderful camera, just amazing. This might be my new favorite camera. Of course, when you get a new toy, you're always going to rave about it, right? But this is just a wonderful camera. On the second shot here, deliberately took this shot for the detail. You can immediately see the detail. Again, guys, I am scanning with the Epson V550. The Epson V550 is not the best for sharpness. You can see it when zoomed in. You lose a lot of detail. It just gets soft. However, having said that, for 35mm it could be a lot worse. But zoomed back out, you can see there's excellent sharpness. I would be more than happy to print this at 12x18, which in my opinion is the sweet spot for 35mm anyway. Unless you have a drum scan, then you unless you have a drum scan, then you can go up to 20x30, and those prints do look amazing. But you can still see this is an intricate shot. There's a lot of detail, and this lens just resolved it really, really beautifully. Again, look at that wonderful contrast. It's not overly done. You can still add a little bit of contrast if you want to, but it's just wonderful. Yeah, just great, wonderful lens. Moving on here, another sort of detailed shot. Nothing really special here. You can see the contrast again. Unfortunately, we had the dreary drab day. I did say in the last video that I was going to wait until the weather cleared up, but that is just so hard to do when you have a new camera. You just want to go out there and shoot, right? Again, here we do see the great detail, the wonderful contrast. The micro contrast on this lens is through the roof. And I can, of course, this is a lens out of 1958 where a lot of people still shot black and white, if not only shot black and white. And so you'd have to have a lens that performed really great with black and white film, and it shows. On the next frame here, guys, we can see again the great detail. If this were to be scanned in with a DSLR or any sort of sharper scanner, you would see even more detail, but here we can clearly read the words lock, tag, hide, or entrance closed. There's plenty of detail. Pay machine, do not pay attendant. There's plenty of detail here going on. It's just such a wonderful lens, and look at that contrast. It's just delicious, guys. It's wonderful. I absolutely love this camera. As mentioned, in 1958, if they're going to put a lens on a fixed lens camera, a fixed lens rangefinder, it's going to be one heck of a lens. Here, another portrait on the next photo. And yeah, even though this guy has a certain look about him, again, the sharpness, the wonderful rendition of the transition between the tones, but that has a lot to do with Ilford FP4 as well. There's plenty of sharpness, there's plenty of detail, and guys, sharpness in a photo isn't everything, right? Technical aspects of a photo aren't everything. A photo has to speak to you. Technical aspects are great to the extent that you need to master them, but they do not say anything about a photo. A photo has to invoke an emotion. A photo has to invoke a feeling of, wow, that did something to me. So sharpness isn't everything, and that's why I'm saying this lens is more than sharp enough. I would put it up against any 50mm, and you can just create wonderful images with it. This camera just gets out of the way. It's wonderful to use. But again, here we see excellent sharpness here in this gentleman's face. Hopefully compression in YouTube doesn't take too much away from that. Moving on to a next shot here. Again, wonderful resolution. As mentioned, guys, pretty soon I will be into the DSLR scanning of things, and I'll compare some photos. But even then, even for it being scanned with the Epson V550, we do see excellent sharpness. I'm very happy with this. This camera is phenomenal. Again, Ilford FP4, different films might give you different mileage, but FP4 just captures all the detail that you need, and so does this lens. What a wonderful combination. This Hexanon 51.8 with FP4, I couldn't think of a better combination. Maybe you can, to each their own, but this is it for me, guys. Moving on to the next shot. This was a wonderful young gentleman who allowed me to take a portrait of him. Again, excellent sharpness. It has that classic look of it, that classic black and white look of days gone by. Beautiful contrast, but not overly done. It just draws you in. It's wonderful. It just gives you that feeling of yes. And by the way, guys, most of these shots, except for the one with the flash of my son, that's all Sunny 16. That's Sunny 16, guys. Imagine, Sunny 16. It was an overcast day. I shot it at 125th at 125 ISO and at f5.6. Beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous. Moving on to the next shot, deliberately taken for all the intricate detail. Look how sharp. Look at it, it's just gorgeous. This is downtown Dallas, and I deliberately took this shot. Yeah, this is, you know, they call these cameras, the Konica IIIA, they call them Leica alternatives. I think that is a little bit of an insult to this camera. This camera is strong on its own. Of course, Leica is the most famous, most popular rangefinder out there, but I would put this camera head to head with any Leica. It's a wonderful camera. It's underrated. Thankfully, it's under the radar because you can get these guys for a steal. But yeah, you see the detail here that it is able to resolve. It's just wonderful. Last shot here, guys. Again, I took this shot downtown Dallas. We had a nice misty ambiance downtown Dallas. The detail, unbelievable, the amount of detail that it resolves. Again, the Epson V550 really doesn't do 35mm any justice, but I can tell you this lens is more than sharp enough for what you needed. It's just a wonderful lens, guys. These are just some photos that I'd like to share with you, especially, you know, I'm a portraiture guy. It doesn't get any better than this. Look at the contrast, look at the graduation from the highlights to the darks. It's just beautiful. This lens is, I would venture to say, designed for black and white. Now, of course, this isn't a review. I'm months away from actually reviewing this camera, guys. I'm months away. I'm just months away from that. Why am I months away? from being able to review this camera, because I haven't put a color roll through it, I haven't shot it under different circumstances. The first impressions are phenomenal. I absolutely love this camera. But guys, the actual review is a couple months away. I need to put a few more rolls through it, but I hope you got to see some of the results, at least on black and white, of what this camera is capable of. Guys, that is it for this little episode. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have any questions, pop them down below in the comments and I'll definitely get back to you. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.